Well, hello everyone! Time again for another Willie's Ramblings and Pickup video. Awesome. Well, it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've been rather busy, been traveling all over the frickin' place. Visited some game stores out in Colorado, some places in Oklahoma City. Went to a really cool event also that I want to talk about here soon. First up, I went out to Colorado Springs, Colorado, and spent a little time out there. Found some neat stuff out there. One of the stores I visited, which I highly recommend, there's 3 of them out there, and it's called Docs, or Docs Video Games. I'll put a link in the show notes to this game store. Now, I visited all 3 of these. There's one in Aurora, Colorado. Actually, there's 2 in Aurora, Colorado, and one in Arvada, Colorado. And I think the best one I liked, the best, was the one down on Smoky Hill Road. I actually picked up a pretty cool pickup there that I've been really looking for. I'll talk about here in a few seconds. Neat game store. Another game store I visited was out in Oklahoma City, and it's more of a chain. It's called Vintage Stock. And they have like records, CDs, old toys, trading cards, things like that. But they do have some retro video games in there. And on this one, in this one store, I think it was on North May Avenue in Oklahoma City, they had a complete in box Atari Stunt Cycle. Awesome. I mean, it looked pristine. I wish I would have got a picture of it, but I left my phone in the car. I was too lazy to go get it. But it was pristine. I don't know if it's still there, but it was for $69, but it looked pristine. It was awesome. Almost picked it up, but I got too much junk in my room the way it is. Don't have room for another console. I got way too many to begin with. Also, this past weekend, I went up to Columbus, Ohio, and I participated in the Korg's Columbus, Ohio Retro Game Society show they have up there. And this one was called Korg Buster. And basically, they had a tournament there that was kind of like the old tournament from 1994 by Blockbuster Video, where you played some games to win prizes. Well, the Columbus Retro League, they set this tournament up where you played Virtual Racing, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and NBA Jam. And they had a 4th mystery game that you played in the finals. Well, the mystery game was Shaq Fu, which drew a lot of from the crowd when they announced it. But it was funny. Chris Bedwell from Now You're Playing With Podcast, him and his crew brought their Video Jeopardy machine. I had never seen one of these before. And I have to say, I think it was a highlight of the whole show. It was very entertaining. It was just like watching the Jeopardy TV show. Chris did a heck of a job being the maitre d'. A lot of fun. I have to take my hat off to those guys. That's a great idea. I like to see that more often in some of these game shows because I think it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, also as part of that, Chris Bedwell went out and got a bunch of cartridges. He got actually 64 of them that had the old Blockbuster Video rental labels on them and stuff like that. And he also put a special limited edition label on also from the Columbus Retro League that he would hand out to all the participants in the contest. I picked up a Top Gear Rally. It's number 48 of the 64. So they made like a little collectible showing the Blockbuster sticker and stuff, how they used to like to put the stickers over the labels and dummies. Anyway, that's cool. If you're ever in the Columbus area, the Columbus Retro League does a lot of different events throughout the year, I'm pretty sure. Chris also does the Hexadecathlon up there as well. I'm not attended that yet, but I'm going to try to get up there eventually for it. And of course, you have the Korg's video game show. Highly recommend you attend these events if you're around the Columbus, Ohio area. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. Now let's get to the pickups. I got a lot of them. Very first thing. I've been looking for one of these for a while now, since I got my Atari 5200. I now have one. I finally got a trackball. This thing is awesome. This makes owning a 5200 worth it. just for Centipede and Missile Command. Almost like playing the arcade versions. Really well done. Also, I did an interview, myself and my co-host RK, on the Atari 5200 Super Podcast with the designer of this trackball, Mr. Dan Kramer. So we will post that we'll be posting that podcast episode as soon as we record it. So you can listen to Dan Kramer talk about the development of the trackball. Pretty awesome. Now my good bud, Paul, from the Intellivisionaries podcast, he sent me a Odyssey 2 233-in-1 multi-cart. I was really surprised to get this. This is awesome. I really appreciate it, Paul, you sending me this. But it's a neat little multi-cart. It's got little dip switches on it. And you have to look up at this little manual, so don't lose the manual, to flip the disc switches to play the particular game you want to play. Pretty awesome. I'm so stoked he sent this to me. So now I can play some of those harder to get Odyssey 2 games on my Odyssey 2 and not worry about buying them anymore. One of the things I like to do is when I do get a multi-cart, I usually start getting rid of all my loose cartridges to save room. So I'll probably be going through and get rid of a lot of my Odyssey 2 cartridges now, since I got this. Now let's get to, one more 5200 pickup. This was a game I ordered from Atari Age. It was made by the username TEP392, TEP392. He made a almost arcade perfect version of Pac-Man for the Atari 5200. Now we all know what the original 5200 Pac-Man looks like. It's all stretched out and everything. Don't look that great. Well, he took Miss Pac-Man and updated he hacked the graphics and everything and the gameplay to create Pac-Man Arcade. This is awesome. I did a review video on this, so if you have a 5200, we want to try to get in this game. It's pretty cool. Next up, for my Sony PlayStation, this is going to be a weird one, I picked up Smoifs. La 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 la. Pretty neat game. It kind of plays like Klonoa a little bit, where you got that 3D kind of isometric view and you're walking down a path, you jump, you collect things. It was an interesting game. I got it really cheap. I picked this up when I was out in Colorado. I saw the Smurf Racer, which it was okay. But I saw this regular Smurf game, I looked at the back, I was like, oh, this looks kind of neat. Kind of reminds me of the ColecoVision game, and it's not like the ColecoVision game at all. But it kind of reminds me of a little bit. Really great animations. It's actually a lot of fun to play. So, I highly recommend this game if you ever come across it. Then I had some Atari Lynx pickups. One of the first ones I picked up was Blue Lightning. It's kind of like an Afterburner type game almost. Now this is for the Lynx 2. You see it's a flat one. It doesn't have the curve down there. So this was a later release. It was on the original Atari Lynx, but it was redone in this new cartridge cell. I love this game. It's a lot of fun. If you like flight games like Afterburner and stuff like that, this game is pretty well done. It's a lot of fun to play. And then the next one I picked up, complete in the box, is a puzzle game called Blockout. Basically, it's Tetris in a well. So you rotate your pieces around. It's in 3D, and they drop down to the bottom of the screen, and you try to make your filled in areas like you do in Tetris, but it's in a 3D playing field. And as the levels rise from the floor, they change colors so you know what level you're at. Really fun game. I remember playing this game on my Sega Genesis. I used to have the cartridge for it. I don't know what I did with it. I don't have it anymore. So I went ahead and picked it up on my Lynx. It was cheap, plus it was complete in the box. I'm starting to collect some Lynx games I really like. And the next Lynx game I picked up, which is really awesome, is Warbirds. Yeah! It's a World War I airplane fighting game. You actually fight the Red Baron if you want to in here. Really good effects, 3D effects. Has some great sounds. And what's really neat is you can link up to 4 people on this thing using the link cable between the links and have battles with each other. That I want to try because now I've got 2 of these cartridges. I got one complete in the box, and I've got another loose one. So I want to pick up another Atari Lynx sometime so I can network them both together. So when I go to a show, I'm going to have 2 links set up with these games in there so people can fight each other. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked about getting this. And for my Sega Genesis, I picked up a neat little puzzle game called Zoop. Bazooba Zoop Boop Boop. Kind of an interesting little puzzle game where the pieces come to you from all 4 sides. And you can actually reach out and grab a piece to change your little icon's color to shoot it off someplace else to get like 2 or 3 in a row to get rid of it. I'm not very good at this game at all, but it is kind of interesting. So I was kind of happy to pick it up as my collection. I'll give it some more play time and see how well I do with it. I don't know if I want to keep that one or not. I'm still on the fence about it. Then I also picked up a complete in box Super Off-Road. Awesome, by Ballistic Software. The same people who brought us Star Control, which I really love. They did a pretty good job with this arcade conversion. It's a lot of fun to play. It's pretty much like the arcade. You have, you can buy the upgrades. You have the nitro boost. You have the money you can pick up off the track. Little Jeep, the little trucks are animated, jumping over the bumps and stuff like that. It's like Super Sprint, but just amped up a little bit. So, really great game. Did a really good job on the Genesis. I'm really happy to pick this up. I have been looking for that one for a while. Next up, I made some pickups for my Atari 8-bit. The first one I picked up, which I hadn't heard of before, was Baseball by In-Home Software. Now, unfortunately, this is a 2-player game only. But the graphics are nice, has some good sound effects. The animated players run around pretty good. I just wish there was a 1-player option on this because I give it a real good try. I was trying to play it with 2 joysticks and I didn't do too well. But I'll get my wife to play with me and see how well it is, how well we do. And then the next thing I picked up, by a magic, was Atlantis. Awesome game. I love this game on the Atari 2600. This is basically like the Atari 2600 version, just graphically ramped up. So you got your 3 cannons still. One shoots this way, one shoots that way, one shoots up. Same kind of deal. You use your joystick to select which cannon is going to fire and push your fire button to fire. Same gameplay. Looks exactly the same as the Atari 2600, just better graphics. But it's still cool to add to my collection. I've been starting to collect Atari 8-bit cards. Don't care if they're in the box or not. I like these little cartridges. They're so neat. So I'm starting to collect those now. I got probably 20, maybe 25 games for my 8-bit. Got a little collection started. Then the next thing I picked up for my Intellivision is Truckin', where you can drive a semi-tractor truck across the United States. I need to read the manual for this. It's pretty involved. It's like a simulation game. You drive your truck across the United States, hauling loads, different cities. You gotta avoid traffic as you're driving. And you can see up in the video up here, I crash every once in a while. There's also a Easter egg in this game that Paul from the Intellivisionaries had found. I think he made a video of it. If he did, I'll have a link to it in the show notes down below. I know he talked about it on one of the Intellivisionaries podcast episodes. I think that was the Easter egg he actually wrote into a game magazine. He has the article still from when he wrote in talking about it. So it's a good game, though. It's actually kind of fun. I need to read the manual, and I probably should get an overlay for this thing too, so I can play it a little bit better. The next for my Atari 2600, I picked up Activision's River Raid 2. Cool. Now, I've got this game complete in the box and sealed. It's got some awesome artwork on it. I'm going to go grab it. It's got some awesome artwork on it. Come here, you. Oh, come here. Gotcha. Alright. And I'm back. Anyway, I got a sealed version of this game. Check out that artwork. That is just so freaking awesome. Love that artwork on this game. But anyway, there's the loose cartridge for it. And basically, it's kind of like, it's like River Raid, but amped up a little bit. On this one, you take off from an aircraft carrier and you fly over the ocean. You can shoot ships in the ocean. You got land masses to avoid. Then like in River Raid, you have like the canals and stuff that you fly down, the rivers and everything. Now what's neat about this game is it also has a, what do they call that? A Z component. Where the slower you go, the higher your plane is off the ground to shoot targets that are higher. As you speed up, you get lower. So you gotta go fast to shoot targets low, like bridges and things like that on the water. And then you slow down to shoot things up in the air. Kind of neat. I was having a little trouble with the depth perception. No, I had the same problem with Zaxxon as well. Fun game though. I really like it. So now I got a loose copy I can play, and I don't have to worry about opening up my sealed copy. I've had this for quite a while. This was sent to me by my buddy SoCal Mike that does the ColecoVision podcast with me. He sent me this and a signed copy of Pitfall 2 by David Crane. Awesome. So these are a couple of my favorite possessions in my collection right now. Then moving on to the Game Boy, I picked up Spy Hunter and Moon Patrol for the Game Boy Color. Plays really nice, really great sound effects. Moon Patrol looks like arcade Moon Patrol. A lot of fun to play. The Spy Hunter plays really well, too. It's a little bit hard getting used to using the D-pad because I'm used to using the steering wheel on Spy Hunter. But overall, it plays really nice. Nice little cartridge to add to the collection. I've been trying to find Game Boy Color versions of games I like and kind of avoid the regular Game Boy because it's a black and white. So right now I'm trying to find a Game Boy Color version of Miss Pac-Man. That's the next thing I want to try to find. I have it in the regular Game Boy, but it's grayscale, so I want the Game Boy Color version. Now the next one I picked up was Mr. Do for the Game Boy. I love Mr. Do. I like Dig Dug as well, but Mr. Do, it has that extra little element of having that ball you can throw. And you have the cherries you collect and everything like that. It's a little bit more gameplay to it. So it's pretty cool. Now this is a second copy. I already have this game, but it was dirt cheap, so I decided to pick it up anyway. My buddy Ian, who does the Great Bit blog, and also does a podcast called Super Podcast Land, has been looking for one of these. So I'll probably end up sending this to him so he can have it for his show. And then the next things I picked up, I got 5 more items here. I know it's a large haul this week. All for the Game Gear. The first one is a Fantasy Zone. I like Fantasy Zone. It's a fun game. It's really well done on the Game Gear as well. Great sound effects. Great game. Now, it's a good game to add to the collection. I think I've also got it from my Sega Master System as well. Yeah, I do. Right there it is. So I got it from Sega Master System. The next one is Devilish. Now I like virtual pinball games, and this is kind of like a adventure type pinball, where as you bounce the ball around, you have another paddle that you can raise up and down, and you can move around at different angles to make the ball shoot off different directions. Kind of interesting gameplay adding that little feature there. But as you progress through the game, you go through different levels. You have creatures you can destroy with the ball and get to different areas for power-ups and bonuses. So it's kind of like adventure pinball. Pretty neat concept. I like this game on the Sega Dreamcast quite a bit. So I decided to go ahead and pick it up for the Game Gear because it was cheap. Pretty cool. And then, of course, I picked up Clax. Now, Clax is a great puzzle game. It's not too bad. Basically, it's a match 3 type game where you have little square blocks rolling down this conveyor belt that goes onto this thing called the flipper. And you can move the blocks around and throw them down to stack them up 3 high to get rid of them. Neat little variant on the Tetris theme. Quite a bit of fun to play. Then next up I picked up Axe Battler. And this one actually came with codes written on the back. That's pretty cool. These are save game codes, I believe. Yeah, it is. Pretty cool. It's kind of a combination of Golden Axe meets RPG. So you have some RPG elements in there. And then the battle scenes play like Golden Axe used to. It's a side-scrolling beat 'em up. You know, you fight the enemies and things like that. It's a neat concept. I've not really played it that much. I need to play it some more, but it's kind of interesting. Then the last Game Gear game I picked up is Putt and Putter, a miniature golf simulation for the Game Gear. Now, I like miniature golf games as well, so this was right up my alley. And it's kind of neat to play. It's a little hard to get used to the controls, though. As you can see, I'm bouncing that ball all over the place up here, trying to figure out how to play it, because I have a habit of not reading instructions for some reason. Anyway. And for my Sega Saturn collection, I picked up Dragonheart Fire and Steel. Yeah, it's a meh kind of game. They do a lot of full motion video players in this, as you can see in the video behind me. A little hard to control. I think I need to get used to it. But kind of interesting title for my Sega Saturn. I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a playthrough and see how well I do with it and if I'm going to keep it or not. But the jury's still out on that one. Next up for my Sega Saturn, I picked up Andretti Racing, because I like racing games. And this one on the Sega Saturn is kind of hard to control. It doesn't use the 3D controller I have, like for Nights into Dreams. I kind of like to use an analog for steering the cars. I don't like using D-pads. And I can't play this game worth a darn using the D-pad. I wreck it like crazy. But that one I don't know if I'm going to keep. That one may be going into the next retro box I do. Next up, Dark Light Conflict, a cool outer space shooter. This does use the 3D controller. And it's kind of like, a little bit like Colony Wars on the PlayStation, similar to it. It's kind of neat. I like playing the arcade mode. There is a campaign mode where you go through all this different storylines and you got to do the training missions and stuff like that. But what I like doing, I just like just to pop into the arcade mode and just fly around and shoot stuff. It's quite a bit of fun to play. Graphics are pretty nice. Controls are just a little bit wonky. It seems to be a little bit too sensitive with that analog, that 3D control pad. And I went through the settings trying to find a way to, kind of deaden it up. I couldn't find a setting to adjust the sensitivity of that analog stick. It's just a little bit too quick. If you move it just a little bit, the ship just kind of shoots off to one side. So I don't know if it's my controller or what, but controller works fine on other games, so I doubt it's going to be it. Next up, another racing game. Imagine that. NASCAR 98. Awesome. This one I really like. I like NASCAR racing games. I really love Daytona USA on the Sega Dreamcast. But what's nice about this is this does use the 3D controller. So you can use the analog stick to steer, which makes it much better to play. Graphics are really nice. And it has some really cool background music that plays, actual songs that are playing as you race. Not made up music, but actual songs you heard from 1998 playing in the background like on a radio. I like it. It's a pretty fun NASCAR racing game, so that's going to be a keeper in the collection. And then the last Saturn pick I've got is T&M Motorsports Hardcore 4x4. 4x4 Racing. Yeah. This one is super hard to control. It's a hard time controlling the truck in this game. Controls aren't all that great. You spend more time bouncing around than anything. Of course, I know it's off-road, da-da-da-da. But, no, this is not for me. Don't think I'm going to keep this one. I had high hopes for it because I like the 4x4 truck racing that Microsoft had. I don't remember what the name of it was. It was a Microsoft PC game. I really liked that one. I was kind of hoping this would be like it, but it's not. So, yeah. That one's not going to hang out in the collection very long. Boom, boom, boom. And then the last two things I got to show here. Now, my co-host, RK, on the Atari 5200 Super podcast, is in the process of making these little guys. They're little 3D dioramas. Check these out. It's kind of cool. Now, they're little kits, model kits that you can put together and paint. First one's called Zax Attacks, which is, Zaxxon. Pretty cool. This is what it looks like when it's all painted up back here. And the next one he's making is called Lunar Cruiser. Awesome. And this is what it looks like when it's all painted up right back there. So both of these, basically, now these are the prototypes back here. And they won't have the names on them. They'll be blank. So you can put your own name on there, everything like that. So he's going to be selling these eventually. These are pretty cool. Looking forward to see what else he makes. So that is all the pickups for this week. Yeah, that's everything. Yep, didn't miss anything. So until next time, thanks for watching.